This video is for Stephanie. She was on Google Plus in a community and she was having a little bit of trouble putting some pants together, and I can understand why, because it can get a little confusing and the instructions aren't always the best. And there are a couple of ways that you can do this, and I'll show you both of them. Now these are just simple little mock-up pants, so they're smaller scale so that you can see the whole pieces. And there's no zipper or anything. It's just like what you would do if you had an elastic waist pants. So the first thing we're going to do is take the front and back piece for each leg and sew up with right sides together. This is the right side. I'm sorry, this fabric looks the same on both sides, but so we're going to sew back and front together with the right sides in, wrong side out, and we're going to sew this inseam right here, right down the middle. Okay, now we have the two sides sewn together, and I've marked with a Sharpie on the wrong side, so here's the little seams. And obviously at this point you would want to go ahead and press your seams. I'm not going to do that for this little example. Now what you want to do is put the right sides together, so the wrong sides are facing out, and then you're going to match up this crotch seam, and you're going to sew right down here on the crotch seam, both pieces together. Okay, so now the crotch seam is sewn together, and you'll notice that we have both fronts on one side and both backs on one side. And now all we have to do is sew the side seams together. And I think this is where it gets a little bit confusing, because you've got to turn it the right way. But I'm going to turn it like this just to show you. So there's the little pants that when they're done. So what you need to do to sew that seam is you've got to get those right sides together. So you're going to fold it under like that. Fronts here, backs here, right sides together. And now all we need to do is sew these side seams. So I'm going to do it again one more time, just because I know this is really confusing. It's like little pants origami. Okay, fronts together, backs together with the crotch seam. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. So if you take the front and put it around to the back, maybe that's a good explanation. Backs, fronts. There we go. So I'll go sew that up. Okay, now we have our little pants sewn together, and you'll notice that it's binding up here, and your pants may do that as well. So you'll might need to do some clipping. It's really exaggerated on this little tiny set. So now we have our side seams sewn together. And another bit of advice when you're sewing these long seams, the inseam and this one, sew from the top down, because if it's going to get crooked, you'd rather be off down here at the hem than have a mess at your waist. So here's our little pants. We turn them right side out. There we go. So that is the first method. Now I'll show you the other one that they do on patterns a lot. In this example, I've done the same thing. I marked the back and the front on the wrong side. So what we want to do is we're going to make the legs separate each set. So with the right sides together, we put the back with the front, and we want to sew the inseam and the side seam, and then we're going to repeat it on this side. So we're going to make 2 separate legs. Okay, now I have 2 legs. The inside seam and the side seams were sewn, fronts and backs. So now what the patterns tell you to do is you're going to need to take one leg, turn it right side out, and now you're going to put it inside this leg. Match up the seams. So if you look inside now, because I turned the one right side out, I have the right side here on the inside leg and the right side here on the outside leg. So they're facing each other now. And now all you need to do is match up these inseams here. And now you're going to sew the crotch seam right around here. Okay, now that crotch seam is sewn up, and all we have to do, pull that leg out of there. And there's our fronts and our backs, and we're inside out, so there we go. Here's our first set. So you can see you get the same results. It's 2 different methods, and the pattern companies will likely choose one of those 2 methods. So I hope that helps you out.